Welcome to Stayf Draws. I'm Stayf and the Groot, a Dutch artist. In this video I'm going to show you a book which is called The Noble Approach Maurice Noble and the Zen of Animation Design. Hope you enjoy it. The Noble Approach Maurice Noble and the Zen of Animation Design is a true gem. It is written by Tod Polson based on the designer notes by Maurice Noble he wrote for his Noble Boys. Tod Polson was one of these Noble Boys together with Lawrence Marvitt, Don Hall, Ricardo Barahona and Scott Morse. It was through Scott Morse I first heard about Maurice Noble. He made this wonderful book homage about his friend and teacher. This book was published in 2013 by Chronicle Books. The Noble Approach details Maurice Noble's unique process step by step, from assessing the story and gathering inspiration through the design to the final film, including over 200 pieces of artwork prefaced by an extensive introduction to Noble's life and work. This book provides animators and designers with a trove of guidance and inspiration. The book starts off with an introduction by a speech from legendary cartoon director Chuck Jones, who worked closely together with Noble on the most iconic Warner Bros. Cartoons. So, who was Maurice Noble? He was a great designer and is best known for his art direction on Warner Bros. Cartoons from the 50s and 60s. Remember those crazy designs on the Dumbo drunken sequence, the whimsical background designs on What's Opera Doc and Doc Rogers, the intricate background designs on How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and the stylized backgrounds for the Roadrunner movies? They were all done by Maurice Noble. This book is not a biography about him. If you want to learn more about his life, then read Stepping into the Picture Cartoon Designer Maurice Noble by Robert J. McKinnon from 2008. The heart of this book is the step-by-step approach to design for animation. In the early 1990s, he selected a small group of young artists at the Chuck Jones Productions. Thanks to Tod Polson, you can now get a hands-on course and train with Maurice Noble. The steps are set up in 8 chapters: getting started, story, breaking down the elements, research and inspiration, design, color, layout, and final film. It's a very practical guide for working in animation. Step 1. Getting started. In this chapter, Noble shows how to get started on an animation with some important questions. What are the expectations of the studio, producer and director? How much time do you have to design the film? How much time is there to produce the film? What is the budget? What is the story? Is the animation limited or full? Who is your audience? Where will the production be? How long is the film? These all seem like simple questions, but most of us can't answer them, or just want to make something beautiful. It applies to all arts. Step 2. Story. In this chapter, Noble explains the use of storyboards and visual ideas, instead of writing a script of the story. Animation is a visual medium. One image can tell more than 1,000 words. Back in the day, a story was told on one piece of paper as a base to shoot off ideas. A simple idea sketch or design could be developed and end up in the final story. That's why you can rewatch these older movies, because every sequence had been a synergy of the story and design department. Step 3. Breaking down the elements. The next step would be to break down the story. First with story beats. These beats are the more important moments of a story. Most stories have a beginning, middle, climax and end. The story elements would break down the story beats in smaller parts. The more specific you are with the elements, the better. The story elements are location, time, time of day, special sequences, props, mood, and gags. Step 4. Research and inspiration. The most important lesson he teaches in this chapter is to never copy other animation visual developments. Develop your own style and let the story dictate what the design will be. Look at real life and get your inspiration from nature. You can see his process for the visual development for What's Opera Doc, Robin Hood, Daffy, and the Roadrunner movies, and how he drew inspiration from different sources. Step 5. Design. A film designer's job in animation consists of two things: supporting the story through design and staging the characters. Start out with thumbnail sketches to explore all of the possibilities before making the final design. Keep working the design. Work in the correct aspect ratio. Support the characters with designs that reflect the style of the characters. It has to be part of the same world. Make your designs fun to watch. Make them quirky. Take the best thumbnails and try out different approaches. Look at the values of your design. Break it down in value scales. Test the values. Use stacking values for the foreground, character, and background. Use light to frame the character. Use contrast in colors and shapes. Step 6. Color. This book has an excellent color theory. Noble explains in detail how colors react and the mood you can create with the bright color combinations. In the 50s, the color palette was limited for the cell paint of the characters. Each color has a personality. The book shows the color schemes with samples of his works: the analogous color scheme, the complementary color scheme, the split complementary scheme, and the triadic color scheme. He also added the rectangle color scheme and the square color scheme. He also used a visual hierarchy for the backgrounds and characters. This chapter alone is worth studying. Just how much thought went into creating the colors for these classic cartoons. The colors were deliberately used to enhance the story. Tod Polson shows a lot of scenes from the Warner Brother cartoons as samples for the color schemes that were used. Step 7. Layout. The layouts Noble made were based on the story sketches of Chuck Jones. He worked the layouts around the characters. He also used grids on the layouts, but they were never used after the initial design. He used a lot of vertical lines for his layouts, because people can relate to tall trees and buildings. He would repeat and echo lines to create depth, or use counter rhythms to change things up. But these counter rhythms were used with a structure. Noble studied the masters like Da Vinci and Tintoretto at a young age and simplified the compositions into the rule of thirds and rabattement. For the traveling panorama shots, he used other techniques. In the beginning and end of the shot, the backgrounds would be more detailed, and in the middle, the composition would be more simplified. He designed them with the camera lens in mind. Another layout trick is to frame the character with elements, so that the eye would lead to the action. Maurice Noble's wonky background style has been copied by many other artists, but they missed the point entirely. Noble took the traditional point perspectives and then exaggerated them to make it more dynamic. using multi-point perspectives and also a distorted perspective you will get when using a wide-angle lens. Step 8. Final film. All the animation and backgrounds would then be combined in a scene folder together with an X-sheet and was sent to the camera department. The movie then would be shown to the studio without sound. Then some adjustments were made and the corrections would be shot again. After that, the sound, music and voices were added. The cartoon would be sent to movie theaters as a lead into the feature film. This book shows the thoughts of Maurice Noble on design and story for animation. The lectures he gave to his Noble boys were compiled in this book by Tod Polson. It is in no way a complete guide, but it shows the thought that went into making classic animation shorts that are still watched today. This book is a must-have for all artists that work in animation, or artists that want to learn about layout, composition and color. Unfortunately, this book is sold out as a hard copy. You can still buy it second-hand, but for a hefty price. Fortunately, it's available as an ebook on Kindle. I'll leave a link below this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want me to do more videos like this about art books, about animation, please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell, because each time I upload a new video, you get a notification. Drawing is fun and practice makes perfect. See you next time. Doodles!